Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Curbison, joined with Reed Bacon. Have another great podcast. Before we get into it, y'all, please, if you're watching, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, leave some comments. If you're listening, rate and review, download, re-download. And if you want to follow us on any social media, at Believe in Tennessee, at rbacon26, at Kyler Curbison for all of our handles. And we have merch. We have those t-shirts. How we doing, bud? Great t-shirts, little caricatures. Y'all will love them. Please go out and buy those. It helps us so much. But on this pod, we break down the entire Kentucky game, offense and defense, what we loved, what we didn't love, the black uniforms, and why Kentucky is just our little brother. And then we jump into Georgia. What is this game going to look like? If Georgia needs to do anything to try and slow down this offense, we try and figure that out. And what do we need to do versus Georgia's run, pound, and play action offense to be able to slow it down? So getting into the weeds with all that, but another great podcast. Let's jump into it.
By the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score, Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught it by Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
All right, so before we jump into the podcast, got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. It is the place to go for betting. It is your number one source for betting. They have all the odds, all the team totals, all the parlays that you could ever want, and they cover every sport. You got NFL, you got NBA, you got tennis, you got golf, you got baseball, you got everything you could think of. It is the place to go if you're going to bet on anything and make anything exciting. So for first-time signups, go over to betonline.ag, and for a 50% welcome bonus, use promo code BELIEVE. BLEAV at checkout and receive that 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, welcome in, everybody. Got another amazing podcast. Vols are still undefeated, baby. Just got back from a nice little funeral in Neyland. Reed, how we doing, bud?
Let's go. C-A-T-S. Losers, losers, losers.
That's how you spell loser, baby. C-A-T-S.
Oh, my God. We're going up there and it being that C-A-T-S, cats, where they'd go, first down, Kentucky. And I was like, and this was like multiple. I don't know if they still do it or not. I haven't been up there in multiple years, but it was when we were going up there consistently. And I was like, dude, they're so bad. They got to cheer first downs. Like, what do we got going on here? Like, what's at Neyland, they just say first down Tennessee and we clap. It's, it's not a big deal.
The worst at that is Alabama. That's another Alabama first down. And everybody goes, roll Tide every time. So annoying.
Hey, I'm man, it feels great. I'm not going to do a ton of talking on this intro because I really am ready just to get in, break down the ball, and then talk about next week.
Yes.
We can say everything that we want about how awesome this is, how amazing this feels, all that different stuff, everything that everyone else has said a bunch. But you guys know that we're happy about it.
Yeah. I would say so. I was even like catching myself like looking at the bottom of the screen and seeing the number 3 next to our name and being like, oh, that's really cool. Like, hell yeah, baby.
It's funny you say that because I was doing the same thing, just kind of like taking a look at it and grinning and smiling. Mm-hmm. And then also going to tweet out, and I didn't yesterday because I'm probably the worst social media person ever. But it's not like I grew up watching College Game Day. And it's just like This is weird. It's not necessarily like I love the show, like where I'm just intently watching it all the time, but always having it on in the background is like a part of my childhood / fall. Because in when I was in middle school, high school, it was always wake up, put it on, and like watch it, but like kind of just have it on.
Yeah.
And so it's like the best background noise for me, even though I'm not like intently watching it until it got to the time to the head picks or Corso's head pick and watching them pick the games. But like I've heard more about Tennessee, rightfully so, in the past 4, 5, 6 weeks than I have in the past 10 to 15 years, and especially in the past 10 to 15 years, it was never anything really good. We maybe had 1 week like every couple of years where it's like, is Tennessee back? Are they kind of like there? And then they would talk about us, and then we get blasted, and then we weren't on the show, again for the rest of the year. So it's just really funny, and it's nice. It's like I still feel like I don't even really believe that. Like it's pretty wild, bro. Like we're the number 3 team in the country, but in my opinion, we deserve to be number 1. Now, am I saying that means we're the best? I don't know about that. I feel really confident, but they deserve to be number 1.
Yes. There's, especially now, like people all week were like, here's the trap game. Here's a trap game. Like I'm picking, Kentucky with those 10.5 points. Like this is that game where they're going to, struggle because they're paying attention to Georgia and da 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 da. And it was like, the only team I saw struggle was Ohio State. The only team that I saw close in like a 1-score game in the third quarter was Georgia. So this team looks like they should be number 1 in the country with all of their ranked wins, with how they just manhandled the number 19 team in the country. It's like, I just feel like it's a no-brainer.
You know what, Kyler? I'm gonna sound super cliche coach speak, but like just handle business. If you win, then you don't have to worry about anything. Now, I think this team runs a table. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I should doubt them, but it's like even if we go down here to Georgia, it's like, hey, let's just go down there for a 60-minute, no pun intended, dogfight. But like, let's go down there for 60 minutes and just see what happens. Like I'm saying, like if we win, unbelievable, incredible. Like I'll be, pooping my pants again, like I did when Danico Slaughter drilled Buddy. But if we don't, then let's just keep it close so that it's still like, hey, they still are one of the top 4 teams. I hate playing what if game because it's like let's just see how it plays out. Yeah. I'll only get pissed if we get down there and somehow we get left out with only 1 loss. I'll probably go to the college football committee and start trying to burn the place to the ground or something.
And I was telling one of my buddies yesterday, I was like, man, we are playing with house money. Like before this year, no one thought this team could be where they are now. No one thought we were going to be more than 10 wins, like at all. There was no chance. Like I picked us to go 10-2. I thought we would lose to Bama and Georgia, but now, like, dude, even if we end up losing to Georgia and somehow don't make the playoffs and just go to the freaking Sugar Bowl, like, what a successful season.
Yeah,
seriously, in his second year of Josh Heupel, obviously I'm going to be disappointed because I think this team is way better than all the rest. That they're way better Ohio State and Michigan and Clemson and TCU and all those other teams that are close. Like, this team is way better. So I will be disappointed if somehow we don't make it. But this season is such a freaking win already, and we're 8 games in.
Yeah, I agree 1,000,000,000% with you. But as fans, like there's still going to be a little bit of that piece depending on what happens. That could be like shoulda, woulda, coulda. But you know what? I'm going to stop myself. I'm not even going to go down that road. I'm just going to say I'm here. I'm enjoying it now. We'll have plenty of time to discuss what happens after. But you're right. This year is already a massive, massive success.
Yes.
Dang it, I had a question. I'm sorry. I had a question that I wanted to ask you before we jumped into the going into the I'll think about it. But let's go ahead. Jump into it and kind of start talking balls, start talking X's and O's. And if you have some overview that you want to talk about too, then go ahead and do that.
overview of the game, God, man, it was great to silence all the hate. Like I just felt like this was like y'all need to really pay attention to this team. This was like a statement win, even though Kentucky is not that great of a team, and it's like it's not as good as a Bama win, but still people were really doubting, like, oh, they're going to fall off. So it's such a statement win. The way we won, just defense. I mean, I cannot express how excited and proud I am of this defense and what they have become from where they started and where they started 2 years ago when we went to that first spring practice to right now is unbelievable. And I'm just so very impressed with them. Offense just keeps humming, and Heupel and Golis just keep adding more and more wrinkles to this offense and different plays that are just scary, dude. Like you cannot defend this offense. And I have no idea what anybody's problem is with Jalen Hyatt is our wide receiver. Like he is a very good wide receiver. You should probably cover him. Like it is an issue for every single person who plays us that like key in on Jalen Hyatt. I don't understand why he gets so open. I mean, I do, obviously, because they're drawing it up for him, but I'm like, golly, it can't be that difficult, right?
So, first off, as the captain of this defense's bandwagon, I'll let you on. I'll allow you on just because I like you. But some of you other losers that wanted to talk bad about this defense, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about statistics or anything like that. I'm going to argue with what I've been seeing with my eyes and when they step up and make plays and when they do it when it matters. Now, listen, this pod is actually going to be – there are some things that I wasn't pumped with defensively that I want to talk about, which is weird because I feel like I haven't had a pod to talk negatively about in like 4 weeks. Not that I'm excited about it, but maybe it'll make it a little bit more insightful of a podcast. Compared to us just being like, oh, we're incredible. We're
We're the best. We're the best. I love this.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll let you on the bandwagon for that one. And then the second thing is I feel you about kind of like, wanting to shut people up and stuff like that. But for the quick story is I called you yesterday as I was going to pick up food. I didn't go to the game. I didn't go to campus. I wanted to stay at home and watch games, and which I did watch Ohio State, and I did watch some of the Georgia and Florida game. But then I watched it with my dad and my mom here at the house. So I was going to pick up food real quick before it started. And I called you. I was like, bro, are you nervous? And you're like, no. I was like, yeah, me neither. And I was like, I just trust this team. Like, why am I not going to trust this team when they've given me, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel with my friends. Like, I'm going to trust this person until they give me a reason not to, especially if you get a good feeling, a good vibe, and after they've kind of proven themselves. So then I called Jack, and I was like, Jack, are you nervous at all? He's like, hell no. He's like, we're going to blast them. He was like, I'm like, dude, no. Like, he's like, I'm not nervous at all. And so it's like, it's amazing that we do feel that way. And it just happened in a very short time. I mean, just think back. Like, this is one thing I brought up on the last year's pods is like, hey, put yourself and think about where you were, last year. Well, now just think about where we were a couple weeks ago, like going into the LSU game.
Oh, yeah.
And, hey, because that don't forget the Pitt game was a close game. I mean, the Florida game wasn't close, but it was. And then it's like, okay, how are we going to do down at LSU? And then since then, I know that the Alabama game was a 60-minute fight, but like we still won. And weirdly, like I still felt really confident the entire time. Now, this week is probably the first time that I'm not scared. I'm still like, hey, let's go, like bring it on Georgia. But I'm more like, okay, all right, let's see how this is compared to when we were playing Bama. I just had a gut feeling that we're going to win the game, no matter how it looked. This one, I'm a little bit bored. I'm not sure.
Bama felt kind of like destiny, like
a little.
You know what I mean? Like this is going to happen for us. Where this one, it's not like that. It's not. We're not at home. It's an away game too, and like Georgia. I mean, they won the Natty last year. There's a reason why they're number one team right now. So it does feel a little bit different where like Alabama had shown weakness in some games and they were number 3, not number 1. So like it did feel different. But yeah,
Please remind me too, after we break down some of the game, please remind me when we're talking Georgia. I heard something today, people saying that this is like the biggest game in UT history in like 30 years. And we were just saying that about Bama. I still feel like that Bama game is bigger than this one, and I'll explain why. In my opinion, people can disagree all they want, but I feel like we had our biggest game in 30 years. Now, is this one still massive? Like, yeah, but I'll explain why I think the importance of the Bama. But anyways, go ahead. Let's start talking.
Start talking offense, man. Let's do it. So first drive, end up with a score. Amazing the way it started. I don't like Chris Fowler just like taking shots at my boy Jabari, like just literally calling him short. I'm like, chill, dude. Like, what the fuck? What'd you say?
He's not wrong though.
No, he's not. I thought it was just a couple of quick like bubbles out on the perimeter just to get like things set up and see how they're playing stuff. And then it's literally we ran the same route, 2 plays apart. Brew runs the post. Jalen runs a little wheel. We throw the ball to Brew. Safety comes up, makes a tackle. We run the ball. Next play, they run the exact same route. Brew runs a post. Jalen runs a wheel, and the safety comes to the post. And that wheel's just wide open. Touchdown, Jalen Hyatt. And, man, that video where Chris Fowler on the call gets me live, gets me fired up.
Ball and right. Hooker well protected. Wide open is Hyatt running free. A total bust and a quick strike for the Volunteers.
Just Jalen Hyatt wide open, a busted coverage. Like, I love that.
It was funny. I told my dad last night. Never mind. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be negative towards someone. But sometimes Roberto likes to listen to the radio and keep it muted on TV. Needless to say, I'm not a fan of the radio at all. So I was like, "Hey, Dad, I want to listen to Herbie and Chris Fowler." I was like, "I can't remember the last time they called one of our games." I was like, I do like both of them. I know that they had the stuff with Burton and all that, like whatever, like they were wrong in that instance, but I do like listening to them call games. And I do agree with you completely. Like, I really like Fowler's in fluctuation, how excited he gets and stuff like that. And obviously they're, some of the best around. So it's not a surprise there. I agree completely, Kyler. I'm sitting there watching offensively. I've gotten to the point where I just count. I do like this weird game with myself or whoever's watching the game with me, if they care at all. And I'm like, I just count pre-snap real quick how many people the defense has in the box, and then I'm run or pass because it's pretty how to know what Heupel's going to do. And you guys can try it at home. Like, I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's probably 80%. Like, if there's 5 people in, he's probably going to run it. If there's 6 or 7, he's probably going to pass it. And so, but I did like to see that they kind of went ahead, got it out wide. Let's go ahead and set some things up. Like you said, see how they're playing. That's a very important thing that you said is like, and Hendon Hooker said it after the game is like, most of these teams come out and do something different than they have done on film because of the style of offense we play. So it's like, hey, let's go out, let's get a couple punches in, fill each other out and all that. But it's also just setting everything up. And I also like that they got Brew. I actually thought Brew was going to be the first catch of the game, and they threw it to Jalen. But then it was nice that they got excuse me. Cedric. I thought Cedric was going to be the first catch of the game to try to get him going, get him back. It was Jalen, but then they got Cedric right in there, and he had a nice – on the 3rd and 2, it was the same concept. It's like I said, you can have 9 better players, but we're going to take our 2 on the outside, and it's just we're just going to do this. That's all. Outside comes in and curls it up, and we get the 3rd and 2 while Jalen runs, and then a couple plays later, speed's going, communication, bada bing, bada boom, it's a touchdown. And so I love how effortless it was.
Yeah.
Now, great. I'm pretty pissed what happened on the second drive because I did have Tennessee. I had Tennessee first quarter, Tennessee first half, Tennessee game, which I won 2 of the 3, but I was not pumped because the first quarter was 4.5. So I thought we were going to be winning 14-7, 14-0, whatever. Yeah. But go to the second drive for you.
Yeah, that second drive, the sack to start it's just like that just takes it out of you. You know what I mean? It's once you're behind the chains, it's so hard to catch up. So I just felt like, that's what's happening. And then Or no, this wasn't the sack to start. It was just penalties.
Never mind. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was like penalty on the bubble because the ball wasn't thrown behind the line of scrimmage, which I mentioned in previous podcasts, how that has to be a teaching point because they will catch you. And then like he threw the ball behind Brew, which I think was like almost like saved Brew because that safety was coming down. He probably could have laid him out or gotten a pick. And false starts, holding. So it's just like the only thing that was preventing us from getting anywhere is ourselves. Didn't have anything to do with Kentucky. Like Jeremiah overset his guy and had to hold him to prevent a sack, which hell, that's the blind side. So it could have been a sack fumble. So almost like prefer a holding over that.
Oh my gosh.
Hold the phone. I have it in my notes. I said, I'm so happy he got the 15-yarder. Continue.
Yeah. And then like Cooper, I guess it was just like he couldn't necessarily hear. It's literally harder to hear at center than it is anywhere else. Like the actual clap and the snap count. Because everybody else went and he didn't. And there was a run by Jabari and he got tackled by the safety. Like it was just him versus safety. If he makes that guy miss, he's gone. And it's like that's your one guy to make. He gets like 6 yards, 7 yards. So it's just, and then like there was some miscommunication on the third down. Like you could obviously tell Hendon looked to throw it outside and his guys were like blocking out there. So then he just tucked and ran, which, he does that a lot. He just tucks it and runs when he doesn't see the thing. And I love that because it's not like I'm going to wait and see what happens and like maybe get a negative play. It's like, oh, screw it. Let's go. So it's like quick decision-making. So I love that. And, we punt, give it back to him because it's just so many mistakes.
So, yeah, it's a little bit refreshing, but it's also super annoying in the same sense. Like I hate when we do self-inflicted wounds and we kind of hurt ourselves. Obviously, that's a big point for me this upcoming week. We're going to make mistakes, but we need to rise to the occasion like we did against Bama, and limit those mistakes the best we can, whether it's penalties, whether it's turnovers, or just good football play. I mean, like I said, like the difference of missed tackle and another guy getting 4 or 5 yards, or a wide receiver catching it and not making the first guy miss. Like those little things that are winning football plays. But yeah, for me, I thought it was a bad call. Like I told you last podcast, I'm not getting back and forth with the refs on or complaining and stuff. Obviously, you can't defend, us jumping off sides. But I did think that was a little tic-tac call because Princeton didn't come upfield much. Like he literally took a step and made a block, which you're, allowed to make that block if he's kind of on that line of scrimmage area.
Yeah.
Just set up a screen. So anyways, that's a little annoying. And when they call it instead of holding and it's pass interference or whatever, and it's a 15
yeah.
It's a tough place to be. But the only thing that I have coming away from that besides self-inflicted wounds is I was thrilled that Jeremiah Crawford brought that guy to the ground. Do not get him killed. Do not let them get a momentum hit on a fumble, whatever. And I'll say it all the time. If you get beat deep at DB, just pull the guy down. Like Kamal Hadden's done a couple times, or at least once this year. If you get beat on the backside or blind side, pull his ass down. Just get the flag.
Flag is way better than a touchdown, man.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, so then we get the ball back. Dude, this drive I freaking loved. The running in this drive I absolutely loved. Little outside zone was just great. And Darnell on this drive, the guy's a freaking beast. We did outside zone to his side. Way he got out and up, like he is so fast for how freaking big he is. Then the next play, we're running freaking power, and he pulls around and absolutely crushes a dude. Like road grade, like tire marks on this guy's face, dude, just runs him over. I literally audibly this morning rewatching it was like, oh God, literally when I watched it. So I just love to see that. Hendon had a great, like what I was saying before, he had a great moment where he like saw a breaking corner, like coming down hill and was about to like mess up the play. And he was just like, screw it, I'll just take it myself. So it's like that kind of decision making out of Hendon is his strength. It's not the arm, it's not the legs. It's literally him deciding this is dangerous. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take care of the ball. I'm going to run. Or that's not open, so it's better to hand it off. Or it's not good to hand it off. We have numbers out on the outside. I'm going to throw the bubble. So it's just like that decision making is what makes the difference with him. I think, let's see, what do I have next? There's good coverage. Yeah, so good coverage again. Hendon tucks it and runs. Absolutely love the hurry up quarterback sneak just on fourth down, just like
absolutely.
Yeah. It's exactly what you're supposed to do in that moment. They're so unprepared. They don't know what's about to happen. Just get up on the line, snap that ball, move forward. And it was easy too. It wasn't hard. It wasn't a hard game. I don't think that was a PI on Jalen. I really don't. And it's so funny how these random things happen whenever we talk about it, because, you know, we talked about it versus Bama, where I was like, Jalen might be able to sell the pass interferences better. And then we talked about it versus UT Martin, where we're like, why is he throwing the moon balls? Is he trying to get a pass interference? And then literally this game, Jalen sells. His acting skills came out, and he just sells that PI so well, like, falling over. It was great. And it's like, yeah, perfect. Like, now that you are such a target, now that you are literally a record holder in the Tennessee books, it's like refs see that and they're like, there's no way that guy covered him. He's too good. Obviously, it has to be pass interference.
My day was funny. My dad and I were sitting there watching. I was like, I think we got away with one. He's like, no, that was pass interference. And then they rewatched it. We reshowed. I was like, I mean, I wouldn't have called it. I said, I like a little bit of hands, but then I said he needs to get the Emmy or the Oscar or whatever the hell they give away for acting. And it was a great job. I actually didn't even know if the ball was catchable for where it was outside. But to piggyback off what you said, it was nice to see Kentucky jump one of those on the outside and Hendon not let it go. I mean, I think people understand how important that play is, and it's like easier kind of said than done. Like, hey, if they jump it, don't throw it.
Yeah.
But there's so many people in sports and I would say a quarterback or whatever that you kind of decide sometimes what you're going to do before the snap. And you see that happen a lot. I think we saw it a lot with JT when he was here. But you kind of decide what you're doing pre-snap, and like that's not how plays are designed. Like that's not how you have to read your keys, and it can happen really quick. Like just think if he turned, lets it go, and he's like, oh no. So I was happy to see because that's really one of the first times I've seen someone jump it and kind of take it away. Now, granted, just like sitting there with my dad, and my dad's like, yeah, I love to see him jump, and I said I do too, and then we both said because we're gonna go right over their head again.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the fourth down, and I was so happy to say, get on the ball and just get under center. Just don't make it more difficult than it has to be.
Yeah. And then after that PI, we get down closer. Just the run, like running the ball, y'all watch it, man. Like we are running the ball, and our offensive line is 3 to 4 yards downfield with their defensive line. Like we are getting a massive, massive push. We have another fourth down. We get another massive push. Then the next play, another massive push. It's just like our offensive line was road grading them, just pushing them back. So love to see that. Let's see. The flat play. That play. Okay, so Hendon standing back there, play action with the running back. He's reading the defensive end. We leave him unblocked. And then he pops it over the head and gets it to Jacob Warren. Like, what a great play. And, there's so many options on it. It's such a cool thing to see because it's like you haven't seen that at all this year. And now all of a sudden it's in game 8. Heupel's just new stuff every freaking week, man. It's incredible. It's incredible to see.
And the other thing is, too, it's when we add this new stuff, it's not even like new wholesale things, which a lot of times you'll see in football where they'll add in like whole new plays and stuff like that. But it's for us, it's just building off stuff that we've already done, which is great. But I couldn't agree more that how this offense started the game. Besides the second, and by the way, for people who are watching, if you see Kyler not looking at me while I'm talking or me not looking at Kyler, it's because I got the game over here. I'm taking notes while he's talking. I know he's doing the same.
Yeah, I'm reading notes.
Yeah, but the fact that we throw, score early, UT type offense, primetime game, Jalen Hyatt's butt naked, wide open, like it's great to start that way. And I wanted to put that pressure on Kentucky. Now, I'll give Kentucky, they answered pretty well. We didn't get up 14 on them because of the penalties, but like they had a good job of like staying patient, staying true to who they are, and they did it for as long as they could until we took them out of that. But then to come back and say, all right, we've kind of had the quick shot score type, quick drive. Then we shot ourselves in the foot. Now we're just going to pound it at you. And I was happy that Kirk Herbstreit had mentioned like, hey guys, like they can high fly it, and shoot a bunch of threes and a bunch of alley, bunch of, he didn't say this is me saying it, but he kind of said, hey, this run game's super important. And it's for me, it's like, hey, we're not just going to shoot threes. We're not just going to alley oop and dunk it. Like we know how to work it in, play bully ball on the box, lay it in, play good defense, and like kind of slow the game down in a way. And like, that's what we did. We pounded it right at you. We can do it multiple ways. Kentucky, I thought your defense was supposed to be really good. Like, well, we know you can't pass already. Why are you not stopping the run?
Exactly. Yeah, I love the fact that he said that too, because we talk about it all the time, and I don't think other people realize it. But it's like, yes, say this in national television, like this team runs the ball. They run it very effectively, and they run it with their freaking tight end in the shotgun for a touchdown, which kudos to Reed for calling that out right there. He called out the fact that we need to put Fant back there at running back, and I was a little hesitant about it, but hell, he made a guy miss on his touchdown. He made that guy fall. It was one-on-one tackle. He made that guy fall.
It looked really, really bad for that guy, by the way. Yeah. When you rewatch it from the back, it looked like I'm never going to call someone out for being scared, but that guy looked scared. Like it was, there's no way that you're a Division I scholarship athlete and your tackle attempt was that poor. So I think he made a business decision like, dude's already in there at the one, like no big deal. But I love to see that, Kyler, because I do legitimately feel like that is a dangerous, dangerous spot for other teams, because you have two big people with the option of running the ball on the read option. Like I like, as long as Princeton holds the ball, I like him at running back. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the key. It's just, can he hold on to the ball? We've seen one fumble, but that was a great play by the Florida defender. But I think Fant's a good runner.
And you know what? Maybe it's unfair that I'm saying, hey, just hold the rock, because I keep remembering that Florida one. But the Florida guy was coming behind him, and it was a really good play. So it wasn't like, Princeton just handed it to him. I'm rewatching this, though, while we're talking about it. And I remember the clock ticking, like 36, 35. I was like, oh, God, I'm not going to win this bet. Like, hurry up. And then they threw it to Jacob, and I was like, please, Jacob, please. And the guy just came in and chopped his legs, and I was like, well, that's a loser.
Oh, you were like, oh, wow, it got set up. No.
Yeah, but anyway, so you go ahead and jump to the next possession if you want.
Yeah, so next possession. I love that the play setup we have where Jalen motions in front and then comes back behind, because we haven't even touched the surface on things that can be run out of that. Like that is such a weird look for defenses and such a nice little decoy for Hyatt on stuff, because they're worried about him. So I love that little wrinkle. Then we have this play where Jalen's little hurdle over Buddy and stays up and runs that whole way. Bro, you could have fit a damn Mack truck through that hole. Like, this offensive line was blowing open holes left and right for our guys to run through. And it was incredible to see, because I don't know if I've really seen those kind of holes in any other game this year. Like, not even teams that we whooped up on. Like, I wasn't necessarily seeing like huge, huge holes like that. And they did it multiple times this game. So I absolutely love that. Linebacker blitz on the Fant pop pass over the top. It was so quick by Hendon. He saw those linebackers coming. I'm sure his the backside, Mike is his read man. So he's like, okay, if he comes, I'm throwing it. And both of them came and they did it on the snap. So he was like, oh, I'm definitely getting rid of this. So, so just such a great option because it's literally up to Hendon. Like he is making the decision whether to hand it off or whether to throw it. So it's just all up to him. And he's so good with that. I really wish Cedric would have got that touchdown. He was so close, and I was rooting for him so hard to man, I want you to get that touchdown, get another one under your belt and just kind of get back in the swing of things. But I am glad that he had a few catches and kind of felt that game speed again.
I want to ask you something, and I don't want this to come off bad. Hold on real quick. I'm going to pause this. So I don't want this to come off wrong for anybody. But I want to ask you, in the weirdest of ways, do you think that maybe there was some really, I'm not going to say it was a good thing that he was injured, but that there have been some really, really good positives that have come from Cedric maybe having to miss some time, unfortunately for him?
Yes.
I
completely agree. I do think there was a lot of positives because guys had to grow up. Guys had to step up. Hendon had to grow as a quarterback because he couldn't rely on his number one guy. Jalen had to grow as a wide receiver because Cedric wasn't there and Hendon needed somebody. Fant had to step up. Ramel Keaton had to step up. And it made all of them better seeing that all right, our guy's out. Somebody's got to do something. So yeah, silver lining of him getting injured is this team, this offense got better. Definitely.
So it just hit me, and I know we have some of our buddies from Catholic that listen to this, and I know that they'll remember this, and I know you remember this too. But I thought about it, and it was my junior year, first game of the year, and we had one of our best players, one of our running backs, who he was a senior at the time, and he had a good junior year, but had torn his ACL towards the end, I think, of his junior year, but had rehabbed really, really hard, worked really, really hard to come back for his senior year. And we're playing at Morristown West on the turf up there. And it's I don't even remember if it's second quarter yet. It's pretty early in the game. And and I'll vividly remember we had some pretty brutal injuries, whether they were actually gruesome injuries while we were Catholic or they were just the people that you hate to see. But I remember being on the sideline and he comes running right at us. And he tries to put his foot in the ground and cut, and he gets stuck in that turf, and he gets blasted, and he blows his ACL. And it's we're coming in that year with massive expectations, as we did pretty much every year while we were there, highly ranked. He was going to be one of the better players, and I hated it for him that he lost his senior year. But in that, we had another player who not only rose to the occasion, but probably became the best or most important / second most important player on the entire team, who was a guy that, really at the time was a backup and was going to be a senior that played some, but not meaningful. And he steps in the role at running back and becomes the Prep Extra Player of the Year. And so, it's awful that happens. And I wish it never would have happened for one individual. But then, I thought about that last night with Ced. Well, I thought about the whole Ced thing first and then related it back to the Catholic situation. But it's I got to ask Kyler this. And like I said, and I hate it for Cedric. I wish he ever gotten hurt and had 15 touchdowns right now. I don't want to steal that from him, but I agree with you. I think everyone had to almost prove to themselves. They're hey, I can do this. What if Cedric never got hurt and we're relying on him in the Bama game or these big games? And it's 3rd and 8, and we just are playing jump ball games to him instead of really relying on all this other. Now, I don't think that would have happened with this Tennessee team because of Coach Heupel. I don't think he would have been so reliant on one. But like you said, if you got a quarterback back there that feels really good, that maybe he's all right, I just need to go to Ced here compared to where the play's designed to. So I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah. If it, it's all Hendon's perspective on it. If he is in a situation where he has to get a first down, in his head, he goes, who I trust the most is Cedric. So he immediately was like, I'm going to go to him. But now he can trust Ramel. He can trust Jalen. He can trust Fant. Like, he's got multiple guys where he feels comfortable just spreading it out. So that, yeah, it probably was a good thing for this team overall.
I also think it was fantastic too, Kyler, because now when you're as a defense coordinator, and I'm going to do this as fun when we talk about Georgia here in a minute, how I would stop this UT team. But like, it's not, hey, we're going to double set and make someone else beat us. It's like, what the do we do? You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. What do they do? Okay, so ended that drive with Jalen Wright touchdown, kind of jumping over to the end zone. Shout out Jerome for literally headbutting Gerald Mincey without a helmet.
I love that he goes, oh, like he realized what he did. He's like, oh, sorry.
Zip loss. Look at old Jerome Carr. Boom, headbutt. Where he scored. And Jerome Mincey said, bro,
yeah, he's like, oh no, sorry. So that was hilarious.
Jerome's like,
we get to the next drive. This is the one I was talking about earlier. It was a coverage sack where it's just like a sack on the first down. Like, it's like, all right, now we're playing behind. And now, like, we end up punting on the drive. It's just like, dang it. And that was, I think, after that big interception. So it was like, let's take advantage of this. So that was very disappointing to like not take advantage of your defense putting you in one of the best situations they can. So
yeah. And I really thought of that play and that pick. I was like, all right, this is where we're going to put them out of their misery and go ahead and kind of step on them. But one thing real quick is I heard on the radio, and I didn't know this, that Jerome has started 55 – or I don't know if he started. He's played 55 games while at UT.
Jerome Carvin?
Yes, that is unbelievable. I think they said on the radio he's been there 6 years. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And I was like, wow. I was like, so he redshirted and a COVID year? And we had Jerome on the show, and I forgot to ask him about that, but I need to go back and look. But, yeah, I think the dude's been around for 6 years, and 55 games is insane. Like,
he might have the freaking record for starts.
Maybe. Honestly. I don't. And Darnell's been around a long time too. But I think Darnell's a legit fiber because of maybe of a COVID year. But it was so funny because Jerome's like the biggest badass / nice guy. He's like you. It's like always smiling, always nice. But then when you get him on the field, like, and so it was like he's like, yeah, let's go, baby. Like accidentally headbutts. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, but Jalen Wright, bro. I mean, I know you compared how his running style to John Kelly. I don't think they run the same, except for the fact that like they do remind me of each other of how hard they run.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen seems like he just runs hard by the results. Like you see him breaking tackles. John Kelly literally looked like he was pissed off at the defense, the ground, the entire world around him when he. So it's like Jalen just runs hard because of what happens while he's running. But when Jalen ran and kind of had like the break tackle / hurdle, I was like, something I've never seen. And he kept going. Like, that's when I stood up and I was like, lift can go, man. I want to go block for this guy. Like, I love how hard he runs. Not the biggest, not the fastest, but damn it, he always makes one or two guys miss.
Exactly. It's just like incredible balance by him. And he had another run later where he had incredible balance. Like the only thing that's holding Jalen back is holding on to that football. Like that is it. So let's see, where were we? So coverage sack, we end up punting on that, want to take advantage of that turnover. So then we get the ball back again. Kentucky ends up having a horrible punt. I don't know if it was blocked or not, but swing pass to Jabari. He doesn't go out of bounds for some freaking reason. I guess he's just trying to fight for extra yards. He's like, I'm going to juke this guy out. It's like Jabari just go out of bounds. And then we run the same routes again. And Jay Lyons open on the sideline for a touchdown. Literally the exact same route. Outside guy runs a post. Jalen runs a wheel. And he is wide open. It is freaking hilarious how easy it is. It's easy for us.
It's just kind of insane.
Like, how does that work? How did they ran three? They ran it 3 times and they got two touchdowns and like 120 total yards on running the same route concept 3 times.
It's it's honestly kind of how I feel like about the entire season, that I'm like living in like some fantasy world or some dream and haven't woken up yet. But like I'm watching ball and I like X's and O's and I'm just like looking around. I'm like, what? What you guys get paid millions of dollars and spend hundreds of hours a week like trying to break this stuff down? So yes, I don't really have words for it, honestly.
I don't either. So touchdown there. Next time we get the ball, shout out Jabari. I'm going to keep shouting him out every single time I see it, but good blitz pickup. He actually like followed his guy around other blockers and still picked him up.
Finding the traffic.
Yeah, fighting through traffic. The illegal substitution by Stoops was so funny because he looked like a complete buffoon. He looked like an idiot, just getting absolutely pissed off, like, it's a substitution. They all subbed. And the ref's like, no, they didn't. They didn't sub. Those are all the same guys. And he has to come to the realization after he just freaked out on the sideline that he's an idiot and he's wrong. I was like, God, this looks awesome. Like, that's why I'm like, we wore black for a funeral. Like, this was Stoops' funeral here, man. Like, they have fallen apart of those like 10-win seasons they had.
Yeah, it's we kind of get a coach to like lose their mind once a game, which is funny, and I know someone put that out on Twitter. So I thought it was very, very, very important to score and to do what we did before half, you know, and to really kind of say, hey, it's over, you know, like you're not going to really be able to come back. It's basically a 21-point advantage, 20-point advantage. Like, hey, like, thanks for showing up. And it's weird because in a way, like, I love that we beat people's ass, but then in a way I'm like, well, I kind of want to watch like a good game. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I was like, well, I'll just save wanting to watch good games for, you know, like, oh, I guess I'll just wait and watch a good game.
And insecurity in your voice, and you said that. Well, I kind of want to watch a good game.
Well, I mean, I do. Well, it's like weird because I do, but then I don't.
That's hilarious.
Like, it's like I guess I'll wait for a good game. You know, like, do I really want to watch us play a good game against Georgia? It's like, well, no. If we go down there and beat the shit out of them, that's fine with me. Yeah. It's a lot less stressful, but it's kind of like when we used to play. Sometimes it's like I'd like to be in at the until the fourth quarter. You know, so.
Yeah. So that was after halftime, the Stoops freak out, looking like a complete idiot. And like Hendon had like a pretty bad overthrow on a post to Brew.
Yeah.
Which like he will randomly have some of those every game, and I'm not sure like what that is. Because it's even like clean pockets a lot. And then I just shouting out Coop and Sprags. They were freaking moving bodies on a run. And then let's see, we ran like a counter on 3rd and 5, which I just didn't necessarily like the play call. Like we didn't get the first down. We ended up having a punt. And I don't know. I didn't like it, especially because the box was loaded. Like you said earlier, like where are our numbers at? The box was loaded. And I'm like, all right, we're like, can we get a check? Can we get something to where these guys aren't running into an absolute madhouse?
Because sometimes it doesn't matter what the scheme is, or it doesn't matter how good the players are. Like if it's just you're outnumbered, like it's just like, yeah, you're just running into a brick wall. It's just kind of dumb. So, which is fortunate for us because we have a great coach and he doesn't do that very often.
Yeah, exactly. I think the next drive, this is when we see like Hyatt go out. I think he got a stinger. Like I think he's fine. It was just like pinch, and then he was feeling numbness and pain in his hand. You could tell he was like gripping it. So I think that's okay. Then putting Squirrel in, and like Squirrel almost had that touchdown. Like I wish he would have caught that touchdown, man. Like that would have been huge for him.
That elevation on that first one where it hit his hands, I'm actually very surprised he dropped that because he seems like a very sure-handed guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time they went back to it, and my dad was like, I don't know why they're necessarily throwing it to him, like size-wise, like that's not his play. And I was like, yeah, I guess on paper, sure, like you want to go to Brewer said, but like I actually think Squirrel does a real like size out of it, take size out of it. I think he's a very good athlete, and I do think that he can win some jump balls just on athletic ability. And he should, it would have been a great catch, but like it hit his hands, and I'm assuming if he was sitting right here next to me, he's gonna say the same thing. Like you hit your hands, I gotta catch it.
Yeah.
So like I don't necessarily think that they can't throw some of those plays to him.
No. I can't wait for him down the road, man. Like he's going to be such a great player.
I think
Every
it'll
time
be
I see him
special.
out there.
Yeah.
Then they started like I got really annoyed with the camera angles. They stopped like like they were so late to showing the plays. It was pissing me off. I think we end up kicking a field goal there, and then next drive, oh dude, it was like a slant to Brew, and he stuck his foot in the ground and literally lowered his shoulder into that safety number 11, ran him over, which I loved to see. Then just like they're playing off like easy bubble screen for 9 yards. Like, thanks. Go ahead and play off.
Right. A little too late at that time.
Yeah, exactly. A little too late. Then we got Jalen with that another run. Like I said before, like he hits and spins and then has the balance to like stay up and keep going. It was just awesome to see. Let's see. I love Jacob Warren. He like got in a defensive lineman's face because it was like after the whistle, and he like pushed Jalen Wright down, and Jacob like stood up in his face. I'm like, hell yeah, Jacob, go beat his fucking ass, dude. Like, don't let him do that to your freaking teammate. I love that. And then this, dude, the freaking option touchdown. Oh my God, a thing of beauty. A thing of beauty. Running that option out there, hitting with a little play fake. Jeremiah working his way up, double team secures it, gets it to where Jerome can take over the block, then works his way up to second level, gets the block, pushes him out, Hendon comes off of it, touchdown. Like that play got me freaking juiced.
Kentucky actually defended it somewhat well. Like, I mean, Hendon had to keep it,
Yeah.
And so like they did a pretty good job. But then once Hendon, it sounds like I'm saying he like wrote it out, which kind of you say that for like a read option, like, hey, you really read it out and then pull late. But like he didn't necessarily hold it. Well, he held it the whole time, but what's the way I'm trying to explain? Like he really got it to where it's like, okay, you've done a good job defending this and making me hold it, but now there's a gap in an alley, so I'm going to cut it up. And he kind of took the guy out of position, even though the guy did kind of what he was supposed to do of kind of, hey, I'm stopping the pitch. Where's my defense coming? So it was just really that.
Yeah, exactly. I think they played it well. And like I said, it was like the block by Jeremiah, the setup by Hendon, like that was the reason why it was successful. So that was great. Once we scored that, like it was game over. Like there was nothing they were going to be able to do. And like some of the stuff that happened after that, like first play of the fourth quarter, it was just a massive hole again, like huge hole, huge running lane. Just hard running by Jalen, more and more, just hard running, pushing through. They hit Hyatt on the sideline again, just like falling for like a Ramel Keaton decoy and just leaving Hyatt wide open on the sideline. Just absolutely love it. Blitz pickup by Jabari, and then a post to Ramel. He drops it. You got to catch that. Yeah. But another blitz pickup by Jabari, like very impressive. Good job, Jabari. I'm going to call you out every single time you do something like that. We give up a sack. Sprags didn't pass off a twist. And then
he had only 2 sacks, and I really think the first one was probably on Hendon for holding it too long.
He could have at least thrown it away too, because he was outside of the pocket at that point. But So we give up another sack, but then, we come back. We got that corner route out of the backfield by Jabari, and just thank you late. Like it was such a great play design because tight end and whoever was wide receiver, or it might have been double tight ends, just like Fant and Jacob, I think, just confuses that defense, spreads out, and linebackers like, wait, who do I take? Doesn't realize Jabari's also running too. So play design, execution, touchdown.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into some defense. We're at the 52-minute mark. Let's go ahead and talk some defense because I do want to talk about Georgia.
Yeah. When we talk about defense, that first freaking play set the damn tone. DT, Omari, and Bumpus all getting pressure, all into the backfield, and then they pick Buddy up and absolutely body slam him on the ground. And I was like, oh, we're about to have a day. I was literally in the shower getting ready for the Halloween party I had last night with some friends. And literally in the shower, phone, like sitting up in the thing watching, and just see them just, and I'm in the shower just freaking out, like, let's go. They got nothing on us. It was incredible. And then the defensive line did it all damn day. All day. Didn't matter who was in there.
So, by the way, a shower game watch is incredible. I do it all the time where you just put the phone right up on the thing and you just sit there and relax, and just run the water bill up because you're just sitting there letting the hot water. So, I have the exact same thing, Kyler. There's so many things that we'll talk about as the year goes on, and maybe even at the end of the year. But there's just so many facets to why this team is good. But besides being, like you said earlier, on offense, when you want to talk about, hey, the flash plays, like we still, meat and potatoes of running the ball. And then you come to defense. It's like, I get it, guys. Like, I know that there's times where we give up lots of yards or lots of points and all that stuff. I get it. But, like, this team still plays very, very physical, and they still bring it. And I feel like they kind of played – and like I said, there's some plays defensively that I wasn't pumped about, but I still felt like overall they kind of take that challenge. And each week as a competitor – you find different things to put that chip on your shoulder. It's like, okay, Kentucky's coming in. We're a 10-point favorite. We, started out as a 2-touchdown favorite. What am I going to get juiced about? Well, as a defensive player, I'm going to get juiced. They're basically testing our manhood and said, well, this team's the best running team that you've played. They got a big bag. They've got this. They've got that. They got the potential first-round draft pick, all this bullshit. So it's like, okay, if I'm playing
mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's like, all right. It's like, okay, if I'm playing safety, like, let's see if he can pick me apart. And guess what? When I get a chance in the alleyway, I'm going to bust somebody. At linebacker, it's like, all right, if he's that good and that big, Chris Rodriguez, whatever, like, I'll meet you downhill. Like, we'll see how, like, and don't get me wrong, Kentucky had some very nice run plays. I mean, they had some nice blocks. They had some nice blocks and plays designs. But at least on this first one, and I really thought it set it up for this game to pretty much be over in 3 series where we scored fast, stopped them, and then we're going to score again. It's 14-0, and there's still like a gajillion minutes to go in the game, and the game's pretty much over. But I just loved how they brought that physicality. And listen, another week of defensive backs also bringing physicality. Like Brandon Turnage was hurt last week, and then like early in the game, he's coming up and laying a nice stick. And it's like to be a part of the run defense and help. Like, once again, that's what makes a good team great is when everybody's bought in. Also, I just think it's funny that Kentucky goes run, pass. It's like we haven't seen that one before. Like, run, it's 2nd and 7. You run again. Now it's, you don't get any yards on 2nd down. So now it's 3rd and 7. We know you're going to pass it. Like, come on, like, take me back. That's like taking me back to the Phil Fulmer days. So give me
I know, exactly. It's like the poverty of imagination over there on the Kentucky sideline. So it was literally that first play, then Bumpus again, pressure, Beasley just filling the hole, then Levis with time, no pressure, can't get a first down. Like,
well, hold on.
Kirk Herbstreit like showed it on the thing. The guy was open for a second, and Will didn't throw the ball.
He was not standing in a clean pocket. Go back and watch it. Our defensive line did a good job of making him move off his spot, and then he tried to step up. Now, maybe Will shouldn't have stepped up and he should have let it go, but he tried to step up and throw it and threw it into the ground. I still thought we had a little bit of pressure. It wasn't like he was back there like, he wasn't putting mayonnaise in his coffee all day and then had plenty of time. I mean,
I think the pocket was affected. Like, it wasn't that perfect, like, oval, but there was a body on a body, and I didn't see a lot of black around him. You know what I mean? Like, white was in front of black. So it's like you weren't getting there. So I'm just putting it on Will. That's what I'm saying. I'm putting it on him. That's the reason why. And then, bro, we had 2 or 3 interceptions that we dropped. Jalen McCullough had one on the next drive, just right through his hands. Tamarian had one later, just right through his hands. And it's like, where was this rating? Like, why is Todd McShay think this guy's a good quarterback? I have no clue. I literally don't understand. This is supposed to be the worst pass defense in the nation. And he threw for 94 yards, 96 yards, and 3 interceptions.
I'm telling you, there became a time where they were just pressing, and I don't know how much. Listen, I'm not, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, and all these other guys, like they're good at what they do. It's very, very tough for these GMs and different people. And as us fans, like, what the hell do we see? Like, we don't see anything special out of this guy. But then there are times that people get drafted that you don't think are going to be good, and they become really well. So there are different things that translate. I don't see it with Will besides like maybe his physical attributes. And granted, like, I also don't know how much his team around him helps or his coaching. Like, I felt like they started to press a lot, which they had to. Like, that's what we were going to do. I mean, one of my things that I was going to talk about was I'm a huge Memphis Grizzlies basketball fan, and I always talk about the Warriors, how much I respect them. We'll take it back to 2013, 2014, before the kind of as the Splash Bros were coming up, and I would sit there and watch, and it was just painful to watch because like the Grizzlies would win a couple games of the series, but you just watch the game and it's just like you're trading 3s for 2s. It's so stressful, and then you start like you have to remain so disciplined to stick to your game plan, and these coaches and teams just can't do it because we score so quickly or we score so much. And so it's like, I don't know if they just started pressing him and he just started trying to make, because there was a couple throws that were just horrendous. Like the one to Brandon Turnage, that's a super, I mean, he's sitting in zone, he's reading it back and he throws it right to his. So
yeah, it's not even man coverage. It's not like you can beat the guy on man. It's like he's just watching you. Right. He was just watching the quarterback the entire time. He's sitting in zone.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just a hat tip to the offense and the team as a general, or in general. I mean, they really complement one another.
Yeah.
So
staying earlier in the game. So like their second drive, they get a big pass to the tight end, and like Trey Flowers just, it's a pass. You're from the safety. You can see that tight end running right to you, and he kind of just touches him, but then lets him run by him. So that was kind of disappointing. I don't know if that was one of the things that you talked about that maybe you were disappointed in.
Mine's coming up. Mine's coming up. The play that I wasn't pumped about. Yeah, I watched it.
But there's still like good things. Like Juwan Mitchell multiple times, in like Brandon Turnage, like you said earlier, just bringing the freaking wood to Chris Rodriguez, like hitting him as hard as they freaking can, which I'd love to see. And then, once they got down to that end zone, dude, that freaking hit by Amari on Will Levis when he tries to run and take off because it's good coverage. I love it. Amari got all his weight behind that damn hit and laid the wood on big old Will.
It was a fantastic play by the entire defense and a great hit by Amari. So to answer your question about the Trayvon Flowers stuff, and I no knock on him. I saw that he was up for Jim Thorpe Award this year as a finalist, and that's cool. That's good that we can put that out there. And and have the tweet behind it and get the publicity. Let's keep all the publicity. Speaking of publicity, I didn't see these are major national accounts now. Like when it dropped about that we're going black uniforms, like all the pub that we're like, I have Twitter, I don't have Instagram, so and some of that stuff, so it could be on there too. But like the main Barstool account that has 4 million followers, and a ton of them are probably college kids, and it's like they're talking about how our uniforms are amazing, best ones they've seen. They talk about our entrance of like when the fireworks going off and the light show and all that. Mm-hmm. Then you have like BetMGM, all the DraftKings, FanDuel, like all the betting sites. They put out how awesome our uniforms were. Then you got like the SEC. Like, so it's like, it was unbelievable to see all that. So like, you want to keep all this momentum going. Like, I don't know if there's a hotter team in all of college football than Tennessee. Not even just on the field. I'm talking about everything else. Which we got
a hotter team in the sport of football right now. Like, there's not an NFL team that's as hot as Tennessee right now.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, just because of all the momentum and all the stuff. And then, you see that, Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson's there and getting all that. So it's like all these people that are seeing this. And then, like Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler said, like they haven't been there to call a game in a long time. And it was funny because it's like Herbie was kind of freaking out. It's like, bro, you weren't even here the Bama game or like the Florida game or like, you know what I mean? Like, this is just Kentucky. Like, this is our little brother.
Yeah.
And so anyways, back to what I was saying about the Jim Thorpe finals. Like, it's funny that says that, but like in no way in my mind do I think that Trey Flowers deserves that. And that's not a knock on him. I think it's just that I think he's had some pretty good stats and he's had some good moments, but I think it's like they see that we're about to be, a top 3, top 5 team throughout the year. And it's like, hey, let's pick a guy off that team. And he's probably, well, I don't think he's the best defensive back on the team, but
he's like one of the older guys too.
Leader. Right, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's, he's the player spotlight on every broadcast. It's him and Byron Young.
Right.
Every single one. So it's like, it is what it is.
Just letting you know some technical difficulties for the people here. So the iPad storage is out, so you're going to have to use this video the rest of the way.
That's fine. I can do that.
Let me say about that. I thought Trey played it okay. Trey's sitting there, and he sees the guy coming, and it's just like, maybe get a little bit more of a jam. But then if you get a much more of a jam, I don't know how much it's going to affect you on the reroute to get back and run with him. And it was a good throw and catch. Like, my thing is when we got back down, and I'm going to send you the picture, when we got down to the goal line, first off, the first play that you're talking about where Amari got the big hit, that was perfect defense all the way around. That's what happens when 11 dudes are all doing the same thing. If you watch it, and I like the play call by Kentucky. I think it was smart to do play action. And they play action. If you see it, Latrell Bumpus comes up, and he's right in Will's face. So Will's like, oh, crap. But then there's great coverage on the back end. Like, they were in zone, and like every pocket of the zone, like someone was there. So he knew he couldn't really throw it. Then he had to run it. And then when he did run it, we had a great pursuit, and we got a big hit. So it was like every single person did their job. Now, fast forward one play. And I did not like anything that we saw. Like, when I send you the picture, I thought we had some guys, and it was a good blocking scheme. And I'll ask you this as the offensive lineman, and then I'll finish. But they really it was kind of like they down blocked everything right, and then he came back left, but it didn't necessarily look like a counter, but it kind of was resulted in a counter. Like, what was that run play, or what was going on?
So there is a play, a lot of people call it like duo, where it is instead of it's like the front side of counter, everyone runs. So everyone is running the front side of counter, even the backside guys. You're doubling and then to the back side. And it is meant for the running back to kind of, he is a counter in his approach to it and cut back behind. So I think that's what they were doing. But what disappointed me is that we had an unblocked Jeremy Banks and an unblocked Aaron Beasley.
I know.
Both of them. Unblocked. Nobody's touching them. And we still can't make the tackle on Chris Rodriguez. I'm like, guys, like, what are you hesitating for? Like, this is Kentucky. Obviously, they're going to run the ball.
Right. So that was my frustration with it too. Now, listen, it wasn't a super clean alleyway to shoot. Both of them would tell you if they were here, they should have made the play. Mm-hmm. At least one of them on there should make a play. And And our defensive staffer is going to tell them, like, hey, guys, like, what do we got going on here? Like, what is this? And so, like, it looked like the angle that they were having to take wasn't great. And it looks like Jeremy Banks actually got indirectly kind of blocked, but Beasley still had it. And they were just like, whether it was a step late or the angle wasn't there. But, Kyler, Mr. Jim Thorpe finalist was also very, very frustrating to me on this play. If you go back and watch it, he just stands there. And, like, he has his eyes on the tight end, which I get it. Okay, maybe that's your guy. But Trey, like, after 2 seconds of the snaps, like, you realize he's just blocking. And if you can take a sneak peek, you see the runs coming right at you. And it's like, you, like, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything to help the play be stopped. And that was what was frustrating to me. And then the other thing that's frustrating to me, the really only thing defensively that's frustrated me throughout the year is some stuff like that. But really pre-snap, I think multiple times I've said, like, and this is just me personally, I don't like how we look pre-snap to stop the outside run and contain. And on the play that they had on the I think it's like when it was like a 10-yard run, maybe a 15-yard run or whatever to get down to the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that, and this is for me personally. So if you're watching on YouTube, if here's their outside guy on offense, so this is the very last guy they have, so it's maybe a tight end or whatever, and we're head up. So it's like, I don't like being head up. I want at least the slight bit of shade to the outside. That's me personally. So if you go back and watch that one where they got down into the 1 or 2 yard line, they just collapse down, clean that out, and then it's one guy coming up to the top. And it's like, we don't have anyone, because honestly, in my opinion, Kyler, playing outside linebacker and playing safety and playing these positions where I had a lot of outside contain, it honestly kind of is an easy job. Really. I mean, it's nothing that's super physical. Like, even when I was out Wade, hell, quit. Don't even worry about a Catholic, but even go to at Memphis. And when I'm at defense and I'm at safety and I'm down for short yardage or whatever, and we've got a guy who ended up playing in the NFL for a little bit, Ronald Leary, a guard. I mean, go back and watch. He played for the Dallas Cowboys for a long time. And he's coming around pulling, and I'm maybe 195 pounds, 190 pounds playing safety, but you just get low and you take him on. So, like, it's just frustrating to me because I feel like outside contain is a very easy thing to do as long as you do it. Now, if you're head up with someone and then you engage and then you're like, oh, crap, I have outside contain that's coming this way, you're kind of screwed. Like, he's already got his hands on you. It's hard to go here. Yeah. But if you have outside shade and you can see it, then you just – well, 2 weeks.
He's backing up, people.
2 weeks in a row. So you just come up and step and kind of had that outside and take on here. It's just so much easier to take on from outside in than when you're already engaged and get outside. Yeah. I don't know. That's just me. That's what was frustrating. And I feel like it's such an easy thing to do, but it's also a very, very, very important thing to do defensively. Yeah. We always talk about how important outside contain is. So I just wish maybe pre-snap we looked a little bit better, and it makes it a little bit easier for those guys. Anyways, ran over.
Yeah. Those people that only listen, you should definitely watch the YouTube so you can see Reed doing his little coaching steps. It's nice. So they end up with that touchdown, that play, their only touchdown of the game. Blocked PAT by Dejon Terry. I mean, bro, Dejon Terry has come out of the woodworks and has been a baller. Like, he had an amazing game.
Made plays last year. Don't disrespect my man like that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, he was a transfer. We didn't know much about him. He was okay last year. And, like, I think this is his best game he's ever played. Like, he was crushing dudes. And we'll talk about the sack he had later. But, on to the next drive, Eason getting into the backfield. I mean, I can just call out names all over the place. This I actually love to see. Danico's one-on-one coverage with a guy. He doesn't get his head turned around. He doesn't find the ball. Guy ends up dropping the ball. So it's turnover on downs. They punt, blah, blah, blah. But later on in the game, Danico is in the exact same situation. And what does he do? He turns his head. He finds the ball. He reads the wide receiver's eyes to be like, oh, that ball is coming. And he makes an incredible interception. And it's like, that guy literally got better in the middle of a game. That's impressive. I don't care who you are.
So, and I got this rant too. This week for me is really a lot of soapbox rants compared to plays here and there. But Kyler, we talked going into this year how much I like the defensive backfield because of all of our depth.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that in the plays that you're talking about, that Danico Slaughter is playing outside, like he is legitimately outside. Now, whether you want to call him a corner, whether he was still like as a safety, but then the matchup that he had took him outside. I don't care what it is. The dude is outside in the island area where it's very scary to have to play. And like you said, had good coverage, doesn't get his head around, guy drops the ball. Hey, that's just KenSucky for you, man. They just give us games. So, but then that you come back and he makes a hell of a play on the interception. But then again, on his hit, he's the outside guy again. And like we talked about it, we had a lot of good depth in this backfield, but a lot of our corners have gone down. And it's like, we were talking the other night on Xbox Live with some buddies, and I had a buddy's like, dude, does Willie Martinez just suck? Like, what's wrong with our defensive backs? And I'm just like, and I'm not getting in arguments really anymore with stuff like that, because I don't really get in arguments because I just know that people, I'm not going to say that they're not intelligent about football, but they either just watch the game and they watch the ball,
or they look at the stats.
Right. Or they don't go back and rewatch, which is fine. Like most people don't go back and rewatch games. Like we do it because we enjoy it and because of the pod. But like I've told you a lot this year, even when teams have made catches, our guys have been in good positions. We haven't had an issue where we have a Jalen Hyde of the other team running butt-ass naked open. It's like, what the hell just happened there? And I said that last podcast, but I'll say it again. So it's like Danico Slaughter came in the year as like a third-string star position and like a backup safety. Because I think Wesley Walker and Tamarion McDonald are very good players. We think Danico's a good player. Yeah. And I mentioned to start the year how I felt bad for him because it's like, I think dude's a good player, and there's guys that are just a little bit better. The practice that we went to, he ended the entire practice with a pick six. And so it's like, so when he stepped in, when Tank was out, I thought he played a really well of a game against Bama. And so going into this week, I'm like, well, if we don't have Kamal Haddon, and we don't have Christian Charles, and Warren Burrell's gone for the year, so we're going to be out there with Brandon Turnage. Okay, I like Brandon Turnage. I feel pretty confident with him. We got Deshaun Rucker out there. Okay, I feel pretty good. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, can we not just put Wesley Walker and Tamarion McDonald in the field at the same time? Like, they're used to playing man coverage anyways. Like, I know it's going to be a little bit more weird for him to be on the outside, and I thought the same thing about Danico. And the fact that he goes out there and does it is so impressive. Like, and maybe it's just more impressive to me because I played defensive back, and it's something I really respect, and I know how difficult it is for people to do it. And so for him to go out and do it. Now, I didn't like when he did get beat and the guy dropped it. I'm fine with press coverage, but he was like a millimeter away from dude. Like, you can be impressed. You don't have to be like right up on him. Now, listen, I'm not the coach there, so I don't know why they were doing it, but I saw the slot shot coming like, hey, it was the wide side of the field. You got a lot of field over there. Number one, just going to turn around, hold the corner. And then it's a hard position. So like, I'm fine with press, but like, I wish he would have taken like a half step back because I think it's a little bit easier. Then again, he was still in good coverage. He just didn't get his head around. But damn it, Kyler, when I see him wide out there on that third down, and I'm like, okay, they got three to that side. They're either going to run slants or they're either going to send into the first two guys upfield and kind of slant underneath, or they're going to do some double slants, or I thought they're going to bring outside guy in and do that post. Those are the three things I'm looking for. And here comes the slant. Danico Slaughter never took a back step. He never took a read step or false step. He knew whether it was instincts, film study, whatever.
He knew
it was coming. And it was one of the best football plays I've seen in a long time. People do not – it was a clean hit. His timing was great.
Right when the ball got there.
I mean, it was a perfect hit too, like a good football hit. I mean, I legitimately jumped out of the chair and just lost my mind. I jumped up and was like, oh, my God. Like, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And like the form tackle too, like the form of his tackle, hitting shoulder, leading with his leg and shoulder, putting his hands up under the back of the knees. Like it was like you can't teach it better. Like it should be on a teach tape for coaches in the future. Like an incredible play, and then just heads up by Juwan being there and able to make that pick. Like the first play of the game, tone setter, and that play, another just tone setter. Oh, you think? Oh, you think you're going to get another touchdown on us? No, that's not how this works. Like incredible.
I just wish people understood how impressive it is that he's at maybe 5-6 yards and he doesn't take one read step at all. That he's literally there, and when he sees it, he goes. I mean, that alone itself, and he got there so quick and so fast. Obviously, he's a very good athlete, and like you said, the tackle was perfect. But then again, it's playing winning football where other members of the team are active and they're around the ball. Good things happen when you're around the ball. Juwan's around the ball, and you know what? He made the catch. He didn't let it drop. It wasn't brick hands, Henry To'o. He caught it and he ran. So anyway,
exactly. Before that play, just a couple things I wanted to shout out. I saw some good running down the line by Elijah. He made a good tackle on a play. Eason also had a bunch of pressure there. Danico had some good outside arm technique on like a bubble screen where he was keeping it outside. Roman Harrison absolutely crushing tight end as he comes back across the middle on his route or whatever. I mean, just laying the wood on him. I think they had a good route combination to get close to that first down, and then they snuck it for the fourth down, which I don't think they got. But then we get the pick a couple plays later, and I literally thought like, ball don't lie. Like, ball don't lie. You guys didn't deserve that, and here we go. This is why we have it. So then offense doesn't get anywhere after that interception. So defense comes back out onto the field. And the tackle by Trey Flowers on the goal line, like from safety coming up, alligator tackle, like those are the kind of plays where you're like, yes, Trey, that's what I'm talking about. But, he also has the ones like we talked about earlier. DeJoun Terry, like barely missing the running back on the next one. Tamarian was just, that was where the almost interception happened. Like he was watching Will Levis the entire time, like eyes just right on him. He knew it was coming the whole way. And then literally on the other side, he like pushes back the guy trying to block him and makes a tackle or doesn't make the tackle, but makes him, bounce around for a 1 yard gain. And then this is the partial block punt, and then we end up scoring, and that's, right before half. And then they have to take a bunch of knees. It's like this defense is just shut out. And if you don't get a lot of drives versus this defense, like Kentucky plays their game where they only have a few drives a game, it's not good for them. Like, it's better for us. This defense is usually worn the hell out because they're on the field the whole time. But methodical, long drives, like taking their time, defense gets some rest. We have time to sub dudes. I mean, game over.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any more defensive specific plays that you want to talk before we get into UGA?
So I wanted to say DeJoun Terry on that sack, just an absolute man that's blowing through offensive linemen getting the sack. Let's see what else I got. The twist by Byron and Barron to get another sack was incredible. Like, I absolutely love it when they're on the same side together. Another great tackle by Trey. Brandon Turns was the easy interception I already talked about. Danico's interception. Wesley Walker was making some great tackles. Well, he actually missed a tackle and then made up for it the very next play with a great tackle. They stopped trusting Will. Like, after he threw those 3 picks, they just started throwing bubbles and little screens, and that's all they threw. They didn't push it downfield at all.
I think they're trying to get him out of the game, get back to
yeah, dude. Dang, Tyree West almost had a sack. I wish he would have had that. Just as a freshman, like, man, I wanted him to have that just for confidence. Just great plays. Like, Beasley had a good play, avoided a block, makes the tackle in the backfield. Byron had another sack. I thought Jordan Thomas, number 25 freshman, was flying around whenever he got in because the backups all came in.
So I have him on my notes too. I love the guy.
Yeah, I thought he played great, but yeah, that was pretty much it. Just talking about the literally collapse of their offense towards the end of the game.
I want to talk special teams real quick. I know you said they were going to have a punt return. There was twice that I thought D was going to break one for you.
Oh, it was close.
You were. It was some close ones. I love that Caleb Perry, Kentucky boy, true freshman's the one that basically partially blocked it. It looked like we should have had 2 blocks that game, or could have. I'm not going to say should have, but could have had 2 blocks, punts. Towards the end of the game, yeah, like to see Jordan. I mean, we had Jordan in there, Elijah Herring in there, Caleb Perry was in there. I mean, just a bunch of freshmen already getting plays, and getting in there. And every time I see, dude, George just looks like a dog. Like, I remember watching his highlights, and we both loved him. Like, he's a guy at safety that I'm going to be really enjoyed to watch. He better watch out if the boy likes to eat and work out. He might be playing linebacker, but he's got such a good frame. But once again, Kyler, like, and I'll tie this into kind of talking about Georgia a little bit. There were some more plays running wise. I was kind of like, I don't love that. I don't love this. But overall, they stepped up and made the plays. But once again, it's everybody flying to the ball, everybody bringing the wood, defensive backs coming up and making tackles, making physical plays. Like you said, another week of good stunts from the defensive line, getting pressure, getting sacks, getting hits, running the line of scrimmage, which people don't understand how important that is for these big boys to keep that energy and effort. I mean, well, I guess we're 7-0, 8-0?
8-0.
So it's 8 weeks in. It's like you're getting kind of in that long tooth part of the season. It's like, hey, these guys are still bringing it because that is what winning football does. Now, the other thing is, dude, Kyler, winning helps a lot of this. So I was driving to Mass today, and I actually was going to the 9 o'clock, so I went a little bit earlier than I usually do, and they had Jimmy Hines and Tim Irwin on there. Usually I see Big Tim at church because he goes to 11 after this radio show that they do. But a guy called in and was like, I think this team is more physically and mentally conditioned. And they were like, and he talked about being mentally conditioned, and then he's talking about physically. He's like, I just think these guys are in better shape this year. And I'm like, here's the deal, guy. Winning cures everything. If you're like, instead of 8-0, if you're 4-4 and you go out and you're playing a team that you're not necessarily supposed to be in the game with, the first bit of adversity, subconsciously, you're just like, all right, like, what it is. Now, I'm not saying for me or you, because I've played with you, me, like we were going to the end. Now, were there times where I would be bummed out because I felt like other people around me weren't doing it? Absolutely. But like, and it is a team game. It doesn't matter if I gave all the effort in the world and took on a blocker. If my linebacker's not scraping over to make it, doesn't matter. If you go up and make that defensive tackle and take 3 guys on, it doesn't matter. So it's like, people don't understand that winning really makes everything easier. You're not as tired when you're winning. Your defense, you're not as tired when you're up 27-6 and it's time to go eat.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so like, don't knock years teams of the past for not being as conditioned or not as this. It's like, it's just called winning.
And it's also, you got a lot different mindset on a Tuesday practice if you're losing than if you're winning. Yeah. And you're going into that practice, if you're losing, like, this is going to be tough. You know what I mean? If you're winning at the top of the world, this is great. Can't wait. You get to play the next people and beat them too. Like, there's a different mindset when you go into that kind of stuff. Like, when you're losing, it definitely feels like more of a chore than like fun. You know what I mean?
A lot of things in life are not as enjoyable when it's not going right. So we're not breaking news, but football and college football, when you suck and you're not any good as a team, you are literally counting the days till to December. Like, I think really the only thing that you can do is be like, all right, I'm gonna play hard because it's the right thing to do. I'm gonna play for my stats. I'm gonna play for my stats. If these guys aren't gonna play hard for me, F them. Like, I'll at least go play out and go put some good shit on tape for myself. But yeah, like football is a very difficult thing. Now, we all love to play it, but like practice and all the energy and effort that you have to put in, it's a very difficult thing. So when you're losing, it's like this, man. Like it becomes almost like you said, like a massive chore and a pain in the ass. Let's talk Georgia. What are your initial thoughts on Georgia?
Okay, so initial thoughts on Georgia. There's a reason why they're number one team. I think they do have one of the better offensive lines in the country, and I think this is the best offensive line we will face. They're road graders. They are great pass protectors. They're huge. They're just massive individuals, which just being big in a way hurts. Like it being that big, it's hard to get around them. Like there's a reason why Orlando Brown is still a starting tackle in the NFL. He is the most unathletic, slowest,
Sloppy body,
horrible to react guy I've ever seen. And he's a starting left tackle. And it's because that man is 6'9", 380 pounds. And he takes 2 steps and he takes over this 5-yard span and guys can't get around him. It's literally because he's so massive. And that's how their offensive line is. They're just massive, massive individuals. And, they have their offense is balanced. They like to run. They like to pass. They love their tight ends. They love their running backs. It's not a bunch of wide receivers running big routes. It's tight ends and running backs. And there's obvious weak points where you can find in this team, like when they struggled versus Missouri, or like when they didn't really do much versus Kent State, or like when Florida started to kind of come back in the game. And their offense was just just puttering, like not really. And then they have 3 turnovers versus Florida. So it's like you see that in them that, they're not quite the number one team. So I feel good right now. I am not in the place where it's like, God, I don't know if this is going to ever happen. Like, I feel like this could be another 60-minute fight like it was versus Bama. And that's a lot better feeling than in years past where it's like, we're about to get our asses whooped. So, I think on defense, we're very good at stopping the run. And I don't think their running backs are as good as Chris Rodriguez. So I think we can get them on the ground. I think it's just all about our defensive linemen doing the exact same thing they did this week and mauling this O-line to where there are no guards or tackles or whoever getting up to linebackers. We got Beasley and Banks running free and Juwan. Like if we have those guys running free, we're going to be able to kill this Georgia offense. Like that's the main point that we need is those guys running free and then being able to react because Georgia's going to run the ball and then they're going to run play action. They're going to run the ball and they're going to run play action. And if they get man coverage, Stetson is throwing it, especially if it's Bowers. If Bowers is in man coverage, he's going to throw it every single time. It does not matter if there's good coverage on Bowers. He's going to throw it to him. So it's all about taking advantage of that. Whoever's covering him, Tamarian, Wesley, Banks, Beasley, Danico, who knows? You have to take it. You have to know if you're man-on-man with this guy, the ball's probably coming your way.
Well, let me just say that I hope that it's Tamarian and Banks, or it's Tamarian with Trey over the top, or it's Wesley with I need 2 people. I need 2 people. Now, I love the fact that we played Kentucky this week because they are pretty similar to game styles as Georgia.
Yeah.
Just a lot less talent than Georgia.
Yeah.
The offensive line.
They got a little bit more wrinkles in their offense, too. It's not just under center, handed off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I do think Stetson's a pretty good player for them. I think he's, athletic enough to extend plays. I do think that we can get after him. If I'm Georgia offensively, I'm really going to test the manhood early and often. Not because I don't think that we don't have a bunch of dogs, but we got a bunch of medium-sized boys at linebacker, right? You know what I mean? And so it's like I would make Aaron Beasley have to take on a pulling guard because, like you said, even if he's physically there and everything I've seen from Banks and Juwan and Aaron Beasley and some of these other guys, like physically, like, hey, like I'm going to bring it. It's like me hitting you. Like I'm going to hit you as hard as I can. Now, how much does it put a dent into you? I don't know, because you're just a much bigger person. And like when you get your hands on people as a guard and can move them, like that's where I'm going to really, really be watching this game, is how well do our linebackers and defensive linemen can kind of control that. Because if those guys are getting up to the second level, that's probably going to be a little bit of a problem for our defense. Now, if our defensive line can hold to and play it and give these guys a chance to run, I think that's big time. Me defensively, I would. They won't a lot. They might in certain packages, but I would maybe consider playing another lineman in this game up front. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't know all of the stuff that's going into it, but like I would maybe have, Elijah head up, and then Amari and Dejon Terry, and then maybe Beeson, and have those four guys down, and then maybe Byron Young standing up. Really to try to give Beasley
bigger bodies.
Yeah, and to try to give Beasley, bigger bodies plus one, and then to give Beasley and Jawan or Jeremy Banks more areas to roam. I don't see them doing that, because then they have to take that star position off, and I think those guys are really good. But just something to think about. I think we'll probably see that in certain short yardage or goal lines or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe they trust our linebackers to come up and play physically. But the other thing is too is I think it's very important that we double the tight ends. I mean, just take away what they do well. Like get that guy frustrated. I mean, hell, one of the scores that they had against Florida was BS. I mean, the Florida defensive end actually had really good coverage, and he turned around and hit the ball, and then it literally spins off helmets and hands. And the guy catches it. So it's like that guy had pretty good coverage. But I just want Stetson not to be able to have his first read of like where he wants to go and see what happens. Now, offensively for us, I'm very excited because I do think we'll be able to score. The key to this game is the offensive line for us, and that's do they give Hendon time? But the other thing is too, are we able to be two-dimensional and run and throw it? Like I will be interested to see what Georgia does and what they try to take away. Now, if I'm trying to stop this defense, if I'm Georgia, I'm telling you right now, what I'm doing is I'm not playing coverage. I'm playing. We're going to stop your run, and we're going to bring the house on Hendon. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to man up, and I'm probably going to have one high safety. And I'm just going to say, or man up and play two high safety and say, hey, I think the key to you can't stop Tennessee's offense, but the way to contain them, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, some of the great scores in the game. I don't want to say LeBron because LeBron's a lame-o, but some of these great scores in the NBA, like you can't stop them. But instead of them having 45, instead of Giannis having 52, like try to hold him to 38. And so what I would do if I'm a defense coordinator is I'm going to play either a lot of man or a lot of off zone where I still have safeties deep. I don't want it to be easy for Tennessee. If you run it down my throat for 80 yards, that's fine. But once you get in the red zone, and Kentucky did a decent job of forcing us to a couple field goals, like I'm just not gonna let you have walk-in touchdowns where Jalen Hyde or someone else is catching it. The defensive guy swipes his legs, misses it, and he kind of walks in, jogs in for a touchdown. I'm not gonna have that as defense coordinator. You can gouge me all you want till we get to the 20s. Then let me see how good your offense is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what I would do if I was Georgia is have some guys deep, but also mix in a lot of stop the run, and a lot of blitzing type deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying and go ahead while you talk. I'm going to draw something up here.
Yeah. So, and I think playing versus this Georgia defense, I would like to see more over the middle stuff, trying to take advantage of their linebackers. I think that if we can run the ball effectively, their linebackers will bite, and they will come up and want to stop that run and be able to hit them over the middle. Because I mean, we love to attack the outside with the bubbles. We love the little screens outside, but man, one thing about their DBs is they play aggressive. Like they come downhill, make tackles, make good tackles. They can fight through blocks. So like that's what they're good at. So I think possibly we get away from it a little bit and maybe, hit some slants in the middle, some pop passes, some hitches, some digs, and just try and take advantage of it. And then the big thing too is their third down package. So when they get in third down, they like to do 3 down linemen and then 3 stand-up guys. And they'll do 2 down linemen on one side of the ball and 1 on the other. Like it'll be a guy lined up on a 5, like lined up on the tackle, and then there won't be another guy lined up on the line until the opposite guard, because they just spread it out, and that's what causes confusion.
Right.
Because offensive linemen go, I don't know who is who. I don't know who I'm supposed to block. And that is their whole point. That is the whole reason they're lined up like that, is to try and confuse you. It's not about getting one-on-one matches. It's not about like, hey, my guys are a lot better than yours. It's if I confuse you and you don't end up blocking one of my guys because you're confused, then he's going to get a sack.
Yeah, and we've seen a bunch of teams do it. I mean, the Ravens used to do it all the time. Steelers used to do it, where they do that confusion. I mean, Tennessee had a little bit of the Prowler package with John Chavis back in the day. And, yeah, it's just – but the thing is like you have to get to that point where you can pull that out. It has to be a 3rd and 12. It has to be a 3rd and 9 where we're passing it. A 3rd and 9.
I also wonder, do they sub in for that package? Because if they do, you think you're going to get a shot to do that? I don't think so.
Right. And the other thing is too, like 3rd and 9 with the Vols. If Heupel's in a certain area, you can't play pass on that because he might run it to get 4 or 5 yards for a 4th down. But if we're way in our own area and it's third and 12, yeah, you're going to see stuff like that. Especially like you said, if you have let them have the opportunity to change people out.
Exactly. So I think it's just like you said, it's going to be big for the offensive line. Georgia's defensive front has always been their strong suit and what they lean on. So it's kind of weird. Almost every game that we talk about, like, we really don't break down what the offense has to do, because it's like they know, like Heupel knows what he's doing. He doesn't need even talking to. Like, he's going to figure it out no matter what. But
yeah, and for me, keys to this game. I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited to watch this. I'm excited to watch the chess match and see what happens. But for me, it's about us. And I think defensively is pretty vanilla for me. Like, just bring the effort and energy and read your keys. Now, these guys, like you said, the key reading is really going to be more on your play actions. And when they take those type of shots, it's not going to be anything super elaborate, or they're not going to be going super fast like we do, to where you're like, hey, this, and then you turn around and Jalen's behind you. Just play physical on defense. Play physical. They're going to try to test your manhood. Step up. Let's stop this run. Let's see what we do. And I want to be defensively, I don't want to overthink it. Like, let's double the tight end, please. Like, let's take away what they like to do. And then offensively for us, I'm telling you, the key for us is just to play clean, but also it's offensive line and clean. That's it. Because I trust Hendon to show up. I trust the receivers to show up. The line is not giving me a reason not to trust them. I'm just saying it's a big week for you guys, whether it's in pass protection and really for run, because we need to be able to somewhat run the ball to keep these guys honest. And this could be another week where it's a lot of Hendon running the ball. Yeah. Because, like, 4 or 5 yards here and there to keep them honest.
Yeah, and even like setting up draws to keep their rush a little bit at bay. Like, those guys slow down some. They're not coming screaming off the edge.
Yeah, so what I did here is I took one of I'm going to just send you a picture of this little defense that I drew up. And this is like exactly how I would potentially, if I'm them, try to stop it, at least until you get down to the red zone. And it's basically, they only got on this defense here, it's only 6 in the box. And that's with me having an offensive formation for Tennessee with a tight end kind of in the box. But I'm telling you right now, like, I don't care if Tennessee continues to get down there that way. I'm just playing, don't give up the easy stuff. Make them earn it. Because every time you snap the ball on offense, it's an opportunity for a mistake. mean, if you give us 4 plays and the 4th play we're scoring a touchdown, that's super easy. Well, it's over. But if you make us go 12, 15 plays, that's just an extra. You're just playing the odds. You're playing the possibilities of just a little mistake here and there. And that's what I think. If I was Georgia, what I would do. And they have the athletes to play man. So, anyways, great freaking pod. I am fired up to watch this game. I don't get lost in the fact that I love beating the shit out of Kentucky. Pardon my language. I love beating the crap out of Kentucky. But once again, I wasn't worried about this game. I was confident. I knew that they would go in and handle business. They did.
Yeah.
Kentucky, you've beaten us like 3 times since like World War II or whatever it is. Like, you just don't beat us. Like, hell, the only time you beat us was when JG gave you 2 gifts. Like, go back to Kentucky. Like, we're a better football program. We're a better basketball program, and we're a better baseball program. And you know what? Basketball, you're going to say, oh, better basketball program. Hey, just because you guys are preseason ranked all the time ahead of us doesn't mean that you're always better than us at the end of the year.
Who's the reigning SEC champ?
I love that we saved to celebrate that until it was Kentucky week. I'm all for some pettiness like that because that's not unprofessional. That's not bad. But hey, instead of bringing these guys out against Florida, let's just wait till October and bring them out against Kentucky.
Yeah, have them wave to the Kentucky sideline and the fans.
Yeah,
incredible. All right, bud. Thank you guys for watching and listening. If you are watching, please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment. It helps us so much, all your support, and we love answering those comments. If you guys are just listening, rate and review, leave 5 stars, download and re-download, and follow our pages on whatever platform you're using. If you want to follow us, it is at Believe in Tennessee for our main account on Twitter, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Kerberson for myself. Also, we have merch. How we doing, bud? T-shirts are out, so please go and buy some of those. That also helps us a lot, so please do that. And just appreciate you guys. You are the best. You're the reason we keep doing this thing. So please keep up the support. We love every second of it. As always, go Vols.